So the number one question I get from other investors about how we buy, build, and rent our DADU units in Seattle isn't how we do it, it's how we pay for it. I can talk to my personal experience, both what I've done and how it works, and what I do now as a new investor if you wanted to move faster than we did. The biggest strategy that I've used to acquire properties is something called house hacking. House hacking is taking the home you live in and making it serve double duty as an investment property. You can do that with a duplex where you live in one half and rent the other, a single family home where you live in one bedroom and rent the other 5, or in Seattle, a single family home that has mother-in-law ADU attached units or separate backyard cottages, DADU units. All those options work, and it's a way to lower your mortgage and living expenses and save more money than you could any other way. Essentially using the fact that banks are willing to lend to you at a much more competitive rate and at a much lower down payment if you yourself are living in the property. Banks have decided that owners are less likely to stop paying their mortgage than landlords. So you can use that to your advantage. You can move into a property that has space for you and your family, but also has some extra space on the side for you to rent out. So once you find that home, once you buy it and once you move in with very limited cash invested, what most people want to do next is look at that kind of property's future potential. So here in Seattle, that's building out a detached backyard cottage. You're allowed to build them up to 1,000 square feet in Seattle. Usually you're looking at 2-bed, 1 to 2 bath properties that rent for between $2,500 and $3,500 a month. These things cost $350,000 to build. Most of us don't have that money laying around. So most people are financing these purchases. The strategy that we've used to fund that $350,000 purchase is just to take time in the market to build up wealth, equity, and then utilize that equity for the actual project itself. A good example is our home in the Central District that we purchased for $530,000 in 2017. We did a small renovation on, we lived in for a year, and then we rented out. Here in 2021, we started a project to build a detached ADU in the back of that property, and we funded 100% of the construction costs through the equity in our other properties and our business income as agents. So essentially we were able to pay for it in cash, both the cash that we've generated by investing in real estate and prices going up, and the cash that we've generated through our W-2 day jobs. That's not an option for everyone, and I know that some of you are saying, hey Michael, you bought that in 2017. If I buy this in 2022, do I really have to wait 5 years to build that out? So option number 2 moves a lot faster and is a little bit more advanced, but it's definitely something that I would consider if I was starting today. What I would do if I was starting again now is I would take that same home, I would purchase it with a conventional 5% down loan, just like we did in the first scenario, house hack that property, and then start the permitting process to build a DAD. Instead of waiting for your W-2 job and the equity in your properties to grow to the point where you have that $350,000 in cash, I would go to a bank while you're getting the permit for your DADU and say, hey, I have this back parcel. It's going to get its own permits for a home. It's going to have its own parcel number. It's going to have its own tax ID. It's going to be a separate sellable parcel when I'm done with this. I'm going to own this parcel outright, and I'd like to get a loan for the construction of a $300,000 cottage. Most hard money lenders or construction lenders will be willing to make that loan with between 10% and 30% equity in the property. So now you're not talking about $350,000, you're talking about $35,000 to up to $100,000 on the high end. So that strategy allows you to take out a loan for the full value of the construction, complete the project, and then once things are said and done and once the project's complete, bring that property back to the bank and say, hey, now I'd like to get a conventional loan on this property and I'd like to use it to pay back this construction loan. That allows you to start from day one on the build, and from the day you get your keys to your home, have a brand new detached ADU in just 12 months. So you might be saying,
hey Michael, I don't have 5 years to wait to build my DADU. I want to build it today.
There is a way that you can go from getting the keys to your new home, having a separate rentable detached unit in just 12 months. It's a process called Condoization. It's a program unique to Seattle that essentially turns your single family lot into something that acts a lot more like a condo building. Just like a condo can have one parcel with multiple units on them sold to different owners, you can create a condo association on your single family lot and have 2 units. Your home that you live in, your front home, and your new construction, brand new DADU in the back. Those 2 units can have 2 separate loans, they can have 2 separate owners, they can have 2 separate sales, right? If you want to sell one of them and keep the other, you're allowed to do that. So if you want to move faster, you can use that condoization process. So what this looks like step by step is a 7-step process. Step number 1 is to make the purchase. You purchase the home using a low money down, 3 to 5% down conventional loan, and you live in the front house. Step number 2 is to apply for your DADU permit. You need to do 2 things for this. You need to survey your site, and you need to either come up with your own plan or pick one of Seattle's 8 or so pre-approved plans. Either way, that process is going to cost you about $10,000 between the site survey and any kind of plan and permitting fees. Step number 3 is to complete your condoization process. You need a couple of things for that. You need to work with a lawyer who understands how to condoize in the city of Seattle. Down in the description, we'll have a couple of recommendations for you there. And then you need to file that paperwork with the city. Once it's filed, you'll legally have 2 separate parcel IDs. Unit A, your front house, and Unit B, your empty kind of back lot that's ready for your DADU. Step number 4 is to complete and file your condoization papers. That triggers a couple of things. It triggers a change in the property. It's no longer just one single property, it's 2 separate condos. So you're going to have to refinance your front house into a new loan. That new loan can still be owner occupied. It can be the same terms as your previous loan, but now it will only be a loan for the front half of the property, leaving you the back half of the property owned free and clear. Step number 5 is to secure your financing for the backyard cottage, the DADU. To do this, you have to have completed your condoization, which you did in the last step, and you can bring that condoization to a hard money lender or to a construction lender as evidence that you have a property that can be built on. Once you do this, most hard money lenders and construction lenders will be willing to lend on the back parcel, Unit B, because you own that free and clear, and your mortgage is only on the front parcel, Unit A. Typically, you're looking at between 0% down and 30% down, depending on the lender, which you can use to build the DADU and to pay your DADU builder. Once you have your loan and you have your builder, you're ready to break ground and start the project. Typically, the permitting process that we've already completed will take about 6 months, and the build process will take another 6 months. When you're building, one of the wonderful things about DADUs is that it's new construction. So there shouldn't be any surprises. You should be able to stay within budget, and the process should be a lot less involved in your time and attention than a remodel. For that reason, if you're a tech employee or if you're a passive investor, building DADUs is a much better strategy for you than fix and flips or remodels of old houses. Step number 7 is where the magic happens. You now have an existing Unit A, front house with a conventional mortgage on it, and you have a completed Unit B, back house with a DADU on it. You do have your conventional mortgage debt and your hard money loan or construction loan debt. Typically, depending on the cost to build your DADU, your hard money loan debt is probably between $300,000 and $400,000. But you can now take that detached ADU unit to a bank and refinance it. That process is just like buying a home. It's a conventional loan refinance. You can either just take that $400,000 that you owe out of the property, or you can take out more through what's called a cash out refinance. When you bring the property to your mortgage lender, they'll do an appraisal on it to determine the value. Typically, the value of a detached ADU in Seattle is around $700,000. Usually when you're refinancing, you're leaving about 25% equity in the deal, essentially doing a 25% down mortgage loan on that detached unit. Quick math here. If your value of the property is $700,000 and you're refinancing with 25% down, you are refinancing into a $525,000 loan. So in this situation, the bank would actually pay you cash $100,000 to $200,000 at the closing of the refinance. So let's recap where we stand. You have a brand new DADU in the backyard of your property that has a $350,000 loan on it. The bank has brought an appraiser by, and the appraiser says that that property is actually worth $700,000. Now you have a home that you can refinance into a low interest rate conventional loan, hold as a rental property, and have the bank pay you up to the difference between $525,000 that they're willing to loan on it and $350,000 that you owe. That is a $175,000 payday and a free property. I'm Michael, our team is HouseHack Seattle, and our mission is always to help you get the investment income that you need to pursue your wildest dreams and spend the time you want with the people that you love. If you're interested in investing in DADU projects here in Seattle, make sure to check out our previous video about how to find properties that are well suited for DADU projects, and like and subscribe to the channel to check out our next videos about how to pick a builder for your DADU project and how to actually exit your project once you're completed.